Fight Night Round 3 was not just an awesome boxing game. For many, it was the game that defined next-gen gaming. HD graphics were a large part of the experience, and the whole thing looked gorgeous. Even if you didn't care about boxing at all, people still saw Fight Night as a breakthrough in video games. But that was then, and this is now. Fight Night Round 4 is finally on the scene with a host of additions and improvements. It's looking to take the title away from its predecessor, so let's see if it scores that knockout punch. As you can see, this game looks amazing. No big surprise there. Unlike Round 3, this one runs at a full 60 frames per second, and the animations are much more fluid because of it. Sometimes it can look a little unnatural, but it does make the controls feel much more responsive. The biggest change to the graphics is the physics. Everything is physics-based now, muscles flex realistically, and you can actually see the vibrations caused from punches. The level of detail is insane, and it looks fantastic. Every now and then you'll get small little bugs. For example, sometimes you'll avoid a punch and it will still register as a hit. It doesn't happen very often, but it's still worth mentioning. All the menus are slick, and Legacy Mode has been expanded upon a lot. Legacy Mode is basically the career mode. It's when you create a character and fight up the ranks. Round 4 has a full calendar system where you can schedule training sessions and fights, and it supplies a crazy amount of stat tracking. The stat tracking is very cool to see, but some of the numbers are a little off. The game keeps track of a prospective fighter award, and it can often give it to a fighter with a losing record. Come on guys, I can have no losses and still not get that award? Also weird is the fact that you can't hire trainers or promoters. Seeing how that's a huge part of boxing, it's a little odd that it's not in the game. You can create and customize your character with a lot of options, and you can use Photo Game Face to put yourself right in the game. And of course, you can play as Tyson and wreck people's faces. How cool is that? This is a great boxing game. The controls have changed a little bit. You can only block high and low now, and the parrying system is totally gone. Instead, countering is super important. If you dodge at the right time, you can come back with a devastating punch. I like this a lot when fighting against human opponents, but computer AI can be a little cheap with it. Sometimes you can cleanly dodge a punch and you still won't get a counterpunch out of it. It's not a deal breaker, but it is kind of annoying. The new corner game is streamlined from Round 3. You're given a number of points based on how well you did with certain things, and you use these points to repair yourself. I wish it was a little more hands-on, but it still works well. Overall, the changes they made fit very well into the game. The gameplay is what Fight Night Round 4 is all about, and it's as great as ever. On the downside, the training mode is a little tedious. There are 6 of them total, and they're supposed to help build up your stats in Legacy Mode. The problem is that these mini-games are just not fun. You see, the character you start out with has crappy stats. The only way to make them better is to do training, but the only way training is fun is if you have good stats. I guess that's how training is in real life, but this is a game. I found myself just letting the computer do the training for me. This is a great boxing game. The new physics engine adds a lot to the experience, and the presentation is awesome. We haven't even mentioned the fact that you can download boxers that people create, or the fact that there's a sweet replay editor. The developers didn't change what you loved about Round 3, but instead they added to it. Although it may not have the same impact as the previous game, it's still good to be back in the ring. For the full written review, head over to IGN.com.